The Sci-Fi Legion moved through the void of space like a shadow, sweeping across a dying star. Their ships glinted with cold metal under the dim light of Grathos 9, a planet the galaxy had nicknamed a death world. Reports from other species painted the humans there as weak, primitive, and unable to survive without support. The Sci-Fis considered the mission simple: land, crush the settlements, and send proof of conquest back to the Galactic Council. It was supposed to be routine. But as their flagship descended into Grathos 9's turbulent atmosphere, the reality of the planet struck them. Thick violet clouds swirled violently, spitting shards of acidic rain. Jagged rock formations jutted out like teeth from the planet's crust. Lightning, strange and green, danced across the horizon, setting the terrain alight with momentary flashes. The Sci-Fi warriors exchanged uneasy glances. Death worlds were dangerous, yes, but even for seasoned soldiers, this was beyond expectations. The first landing zone was a narrow valley, flanked by cliffs covered in sharp, crystalline growths that seemed to hum in the storm. The aliens had assumed that the humans, if they existed at all, would scatter at their arrival. Instead, they observed from above that there were signs of life, tiny lights moving along cliff paths, what looked like small fortifications built into caves, and figures darting across open spaces with astonishing speed and coordination. One of the aliens, a tall armored figure named Clith, lowered the visor of his helmet, scanning the activity. Reports underestimated them, he said. These humans, they are not weak. The Sci-Fi commander, known as Threx, grunted. Weak or not, they are isolated. We have numbers, we have firepower. They cannot stand against us. Yet even as he spoke, they witnessed the humans reacting to the first alien scout drones. The drones swooped close, expecting to terrify the humans, but the humans did not panic. Instead, they split into small groups, moving along concealed paths, disappearing behind rock formations and reappearing where the drones could not follow. A small team unleashed nets made of woven vines, strong enough to entangle the drone in midair. Another team triggered a trap that sent a cascade of rocks crashing down, narrowly missing the drones but sending the aliens into alarm. The Sci-Fis froze, observing. The humans were not just surviving, they were turning the planet itself into a weapon. Their movements were unpredictable yet coordinated, instinctive yet clever. For every action the aliens took, the humans had a counter. As the flagship prepared to deploy ground troops, a storm rolled through the valley. Acidic rain fell in sheets, carving channels into the jagged terrain. Trees with spiked branches shook violently, and the ground itself seemed alive, as if the planet wanted to swallow the intruders. The humans, however, moved with ease. They ran through the storms without fear, dodging lightning strikes, vaulting over jagged stones and disappearing into caves that the aliens could not see from above. Clith shook his head in disbelief. They treat this world like it is their home, like it is nothing. It was true. Every human movement was purposeful, adapted to the planet's dangers. While the Sci-Fis were hindered by the storms and terrain, humans seemed almost immune. A group of them suddenly emerged from a cliffside, carrying bundles of glowing plants. They harvested them quickly, using tools that seemed crude but were actually precise and effective. Then, almost casually, they ignited a trap that sent a wall of fire rolling toward the aliens' landing zone. The first wave of Sci-Fi soldiers hit the ground with a crash, expecting to establish control, but they were met with chaos. Rocks fell from cliffs, acidic pools bubbled in unexpected paths, and hidden human squads emerged from the shadows, firing projectiles that struck with deadly accuracy. The aliens had technology, but the humans had adaptability and knowledge of their planet that no scanner could measure. One soldier, frozen in terror as he was flung to the ground by a sudden landslide, whispered, "How? How do they survive this?" Threx's expression hardened, but even he felt a knot of fear tighten in his chest. The humans were not just surviving, they were thriving. They moved through life-threatening storms, hunting dangerous creatures that could kill an alien in seconds, and using every natural hazard to their advantage. Every action the Sci-Fis took was met with a human counter that seemed effortless. The aliens tried to regroup. They activated shields, deploying energy barriers that could withstand massive impacts. But the humans had already anticipated this. Using ropes and vines, they guided falling rocks onto the shields, testing their limits. Then they fired projectiles designed to bypass technology entirely. Simple but effective traps that forced the Sci-Fis to retreat or face casualties. Clith stared at the battlefield from his vantage point. They are not afraid, he muttered. They see death as a tool. Meanwhile, a small human squad led by a woman named Mara moved through the cliffs with ease. Mara's eyes were sharp, calculating every step. Her team carried equipment that looked rudimentary, but was devastating in effect. They triggered hidden pits, released predators from cages, and used the terrain to funnel alien troops into narrow channels. The humans were calm, precise, and unflinching. Mara paused at the edge of a cliff, watching a group of Xiphers struggle through a thunderstorm. She didn't hesitate. With a gesture, she signaled her team. A coordinated barrage of rocks, vines, and controlled fire descended upon the aliens. The Xiphers screamed, some impaled, others trapped in quicksand-like mud. The humans moved on, leaving the aliens stunned, unable to recover quickly. Back on the flagship, Threx roared into his communicator. "Pull back! Pull back for now. We underestimated them." The Xipher soldiers were already retreating, confusion and fear spreading among them. Every plan they had was failing, every assumption about human weakness shattered. The aliens realized that they were not facing helpless prey. They were facing predators of a different kind, predators adapted to a world designed to kill. Clith turned to his commander. "They do not fight like other species. Every step is calculated, every movement instinctive. They survive where death should have already claimed them." Threx clenched his fists. "Then we need to understand them. We need to study them, learn their methods. Only then can we hope to fight them." But the humans were not waiting. Mara and her squad had already disappeared into the cliffs, their movements ghost-like, leaving behind only the evidence of their efficiency. The Xiphers watched in disbelief as humans carried out feats that should have been impossible, carrying wounded comrades across jagged rocks, harvesting resources while under attack, and guiding deadly wildlife to strike at alien invaders. As night fell, the storm intensified. Lightning illuminated the jagged terrain, casting long, eerie shadows. The aliens huddled in their temporary camps, nursing injuries and trying to process what they had seen. They had fought countless species across countless worlds, yet never had they encountered beings who treated a death world like a playground. One Xipher, trembling, spoke in a hushed voice. "If they survive this, if they can thrive here, then what hope do we have?" Threx did not answer immediately. He gazed down at the valley where small points of light marked human settlements hidden in plain sight. Every movement, every trap, every clever adaptation spoke of a species that had learned to see danger, not as an enemy, but as a challenge to overcome. The aliens felt something unfamiliar, fear, and yet despite their terror they could not look away. There was awe in watching humans operate. While the Xiphers relied on technology and strength, humans relied on ingenuity, courage, and an unbreakable will to survive. Where the aliens saw impossible odds, humans saw opportunity. Where the aliens feared death, humans used it as a tool. By the end of the first night, the Xipher Legion had retreated to a high ridge, licking their wounds and reconsidering every assumption they had made about humanity. Mara watched from the cliffs above, her team silent but ready. To them it was another day, another challenge, and another opportunity to survive and thrive where others would perish. The aliens had expected a simple conquest. Instead, they had encountered a species that treated death as a natural part of life, a species whose resilience and cunning froze even the most fearsome warriors in terror. The report they would eventually send back to their council would not call humans weak. It would call them terrifying. And Mara, looking over the valley with calm eyes, knew that this was only the beginning. The humans of Grathos 9 had survived worse than alien invaders, and they would survive this too. The next day dawned with an eerie calm over Grathos 9, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. The Xipher Legion, still shaken by the previous night's events, prepared for another assault. Their ships hovered over the jagged cliffs, landing squads ready, energy weapons charged, and advanced drones scanning for any human movement. They believed caution and technology would finally give them the upper hand. They were wrong. Mara stood on a cliff, her sharp eyes scanning the valley below. Her team moved silently behind her, like shadows blending with the jagged rock formations. They had watched the aliens regroup, noting every movement, every weak point in the alien formation. Mara knew that the Xiphers were powerful, but their strength was rigid, predictable, and vulnerable to the unexpected. Grathos 9 was a harsh teacher, and humans had learned to read its lessons better than anyone. The first wave of aliens descended into the valley, moving slowly, carefully, hoping to avoid the traps that had decimated their scouts. They assumed the humans would be cornered, disorganized, and easy prey. Mara smiled quietly. She signaled her team. In unison, they triggered the first wave of defenses. Rocks previously balanced on cliffs toppled and crashed toward the intruders, forcing the Sciphers to scatter. Acid pools hidden under loose soil bubbled to the surface, sending clouds of toxic vapor into the alien ranks. Clith barked orders, trying to maintain control. But even the Zyphor commander realized the humans were not retreating. They were guiding them, shaping their movements to lead them into danger. Mara's team moved with precision, her voice barely audible as she directed small squads to flanking positions, using hand signals honed from years of navigating death worlds. Every step the aliens took was anticipated, every maneuver countered with a clever trap or ambush. One alien unit tried to advance through a narrow canyon. They thought the path would protect them from human attacks. Instead, Mara's team activated a trap that caused the canyon walls to collapse partially, funneling the Zyphers into a choke point. From hidden ledges, humans rained down nets, vines, and explosive devices that immobilized several soldiers. The aliens' advanced armor could withstand projectiles, but it was useless against the environment itself being weaponized. Clith shouted in frustration, trying to retreat, but Mara anticipated this. She directed another squad to block the exit points, using the terrain to channel the Zyphers into a natural pit trap, filled with sharp crystalline growths. One by one, the alien soldiers fell, unable to escape. Even their superior technology was no match for humans who had adapted to turning every natural hazard into a tactical advantage. In the sky above, the alien ships fired down energy beams trying to neutralize human positions. Mara was ready. Using reflective minerals embedded in the cliffs, she redirected the beams, causing them to hit the Zyphor troops instead. The aliens were stunned, realizing that even their most advanced technology could be turned against them with simple understanding of the environment. A Zyphor officer screamed as one of his units was swallowed by a sudden landslide, a trap Mara had set days before, predicting the aliens' likely paths. The human team moved with eerie calm, treating the chaos around them like it was routine. To them, survival was instinct, strategy, and courage blended into one. Threx, observing from his ship, clenched his fists. Pull back. This planet, these humans, they are monsters of survival. They use everything around them to fight. Clith hesitated, sweat forming on his forehead. They are fearless. They are not afraid of death. Every step we take, they are waiting. The humans did not stop. Mara directed her squad to set traps along the cliffs, guiding alien vehicles into areas where jagged rocks and sudden drops would tear them apart. Using predators native to Grathos 9, which humans had domesticated for protection, they ambushed alien soldiers who thought they were safe in open terrain. The aliens were forced to retreat again and again, suffering losses they could not comprehend. A human scout, barely visible behind a ridge, fired a simple but deadly projectile that struck the control panel of a Zyphor walker. The machine stumbled, fell into a crater, and exploded in a shower of sparks. The aliens had expected technology to dominate humans, but the humans had learned to turn even sophisticated devices into traps. Every plan the Zyphers made crumbled in the face of humans' cunning and intimate knowledge of the environment. Mara's team advanced, moving through a storm that had intensified during the morning. Acid rain fell, but humans had learned to use it to their advantage. They guided alien units into areas where the rain had created slippery mud pits, sending armored soldiers tumbling into deadly positions. The Zyphers could barely maintain formation, their fear growing with every trap sprung. Clith watched as one of his elite squads was decimated by what seemed like simple obstacles: rocks, mud, and fire. He could not believe it. How do they survive this? One misstep and they should be dead. Mara moved silently across a cliff edge, her mind calculating the next step. She sent a small team to flank the Zyphers, using narrow paths that were invisible from the aliens' scanners. The squad emerged behind enemy lines, firing nets and launching projectiles that disabled the aliens' weapons. Panic spread among the Zyphor soldiers as they realized their retreat was blocked. Threx, desperate, ordered a full energy strike on the humans' position. Mara anticipated it. She had mined the surrounding cliffs with reflective crystals and energy dispersers. When the Xiphers fired, the beams reflected back, striking their own troops. Confusion erupted as the aliens scrambled to escape their own firepower. By midday, the Xipher Legion was in full retreat. Mara observed from a cliff, calm and unflinching. Her team had predicted every move, anticipated every trap, and turned every threat into an advantage. The aliens' superior strength and technology had been neutralized by humans' ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. The retreating aliens were no longer just cautious, they were terrified. Reports from surviving squads would describe the humans as monsters, unstoppable forces that treated death as nothing more than a tool. The Xiphors had never faced a species like this. They had thought humans were weak, but the humans of Grathos 9 were survivors beyond imagination. Clith, injured and shaken, looked at Threx. They are not just fighting. They are mastering the planet itself. Every hazard is a weapon, every movement calculated. We cannot defeat them. Threx's expression was grim. We underestimated them. We will retreat, but the galaxy must know. Humanity is not a species to be challenged. Mara and her team moved through the cliffs, observing the alien retreat. The humans had survived what should have been impossible, an advanced alien invasion on a death world designed to kill. Yet they moved as if it were routine, calm, and collected. Their homes, hidden in caves and cliff faces, were untouched. Their traps had worked perfectly, and their predators had aided in the battle without casualties among humans. The aliens would leave and report defeat. The humans would continue their daily lives, harvesting resources, tending to their settlements, and preparing for the next challenge. Survival on Grathos 9 was not just about defending against aliens. It was about thriving in an environment where every step could be fatal. And humans did not just survive, they excelled. Mara paused at the edge of a cliff, watching the last of the Xipher ships disappear into the clouds. She breathed in the sharp acidic air, listening to the wind howl across jagged rocks. Another day, she whispered, another challenge overcome. Her team gathered around, silent but alert. They knew the galaxy would soon learn that humans were not weak. They would hear that Grathos 9 had repelled one of the most feared alien armies in the galaxy, and they would learn that humans did not rely on technology alone. They relied on courage, intelligence, and an unbreakable will to survive. The Xiphers had feared death, but humans had used it as a tool. They had taken the planet's dangers and made them part of their strategy. The aliens had come expecting an easy conquest, only to encounter a species whose mastery of survival made them terrifying. And yet to Mara and her team, it was simply another day. Another opportunity to survive, thrive, and prove that humanity belonged among the strongest species in the galaxy. As night fell again, Mara looked over the cliffs, eyes calm and determined. The stars above were distant, but the humans of Grathos 9 were ready for any threat the galaxy could send. The Xiphers had fled, but others would come, and when they did, they would face the same truth. Humans are not to be underestimated, even on a death world where life itself is a challenge. The humans of Grathos 9 had survived impossible odds. They had fought advanced alien warriors and used the planet's dangers to their advantage. They had adapted, predicted, and overcome. And as they settled back into their hidden cliffside settlements, one thing was clear. Survival was not just instinct for humans, it was art. And in that art, no alien force, no matter how advanced, could hope to win.